Let's get something straight. Women are not as mysterious as they pretend to be. Complicated, absolutely, but impossible to understand, not even close. The truth is, every woman, no matter how confident, composed, or cryptic, has emotional weak spots, hidden soft buttons that, when pressed with precision, bypass all the noise and get right to her core. And no, I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm talking about awareness, stoic awareness. Because while other men are exhausting themselves trying to be charming or endlessly agreeable, you'll be the one standing calm, collected, and dangerous in all the right ways. In this video, we're diving into the top 9 female weaknesses every man must know. Not to play games, but to stop being played. Some of these will surprise you. Women will make you smirk, and a few might just explain a breakup you never understood. So buckle in, because what you're about to learn will flip the script on everything you thought you knew about attraction. If you're tired of confusion and ready for control, hit that subscribe button. This isn't about being the nice guy. This is about becoming the right man, the one no woman forgets. Let's dive in. Number 1. Confidence that doesn't ask for permission. Here's something most men never realize until it's too late. What truly draws a woman in isn't noise, it's presence. Studies in behavioral psychology show that people naturally mirror the emotional baseline of whoever they're interacting with. Now, think about that in the context of attraction. If you bring neediness, insecurity, and over-explanation into the room, she absorbs that frequency, and what you project is what she withdraws from. But if you walk in with calm, grounded, unshakable confidence, the kind that doesn't need to be announced, it doesn't just attract, it disarms. That's the real weakness, not flashy confidence, not performance, but the kind of self-possession that doesn't flinch in silence, doesn't collapse when she pulls away, and doesn't need external permission to feel worthy. Most men over-talk, over-promise, and over-give, trying to prove they're good enough. They smother her with validation, not realizing that the more they chase, the less she feels. Because here's the paradox: she only feels safe when you stop seeking her approval. That's what Stoicism teaches you: to hold the line, to act, not react, to remain steady in the face of tests, mood swings, and mind games. A woman's deepest emotional craving isn't control, it's containment. She wants to feel your solidity, not dominance, but direction, not noise, but stillness. When you're able to sit in discomfort without being shaken, when you're able to remain composed without shrinking, you send a message louder than any compliment could. You're not here to win her over. You're here to stand on your own ground and invite her to join you, not carry her. That's not just attractive, that's addictive, and most men never get there because they're too busy proving instead of becoming. Confidence is not posture, it's internal silence. And when you master that, she leans in, not because you pushed, but because you didn't need to. That's the kind of energy that owns the room and the memory. Number 2. Being understood without explaining everything. There comes a point in life, especially as we age, when emotional exhaustion replaces emotional outbursts. Not because we no longer feel, but because we've learned the cost of explaining ourselves to people who never intended to listen. For many women, especially those who've carried emotional weight their entire lives, silence becomes a defense. Not a peaceful one, but one born out of fatigue. The fatigue of being dismissed, misread, or labeled as difficult for simply expressing their inner world. And this is where most men fail, not out of cruelty but out of distraction. They're too busy planning a response, fixing the problem, or avoiding discomfort to recognize what's really going on in front of them. But the man who can pause, who can look into her distance and not demand clarity but hold presence, that man disarms her without a word. I once knew a woman in her late 60s who had weathered 2 marriages and buried more pain than she let on. She told me the moment she fell in love again wasn't during a romantic gesture or grand conversation. It was when a man noticed she wasn't herself and simply chose to sit beside her. No advice, no probing, just silence with warmth. That was the first time she said she felt seen in years. The Stoics taught that wisdom is found not in speech, but in perception, in sensing without needing control, in observing without judgment. That's the skill modern men have lost. And yet it's exactly what today's women crave. The ability to be felt, not analyzed, to be understood without performance. If you want to know one of the deepest emotional openings in a woman's heart, it's not grand displays or clever lines. It's quiet, consistent attentiveness. It's your capacity to witness her pain without shrinking or fixing. It's your strength to hold space, not answers. And in a world that constantly rushes to speak, the man who learns to feel without reacting becomes unforgettable, not for what he says, but for how deeply he listens. Number 3. Masculine silence in the right moments. One of the greatest weaknesses, if we want to call it that most women aren't even aware of, is how deeply they respond to masculine silence. But here's the key: it has to be used in the right moments. Most men have no idea how powerful their silence can be. They think they always need to fill the space to say the right thing to match her energy. But the truth is, women already live in a world full of noise, opinions, chatter, endless words. And what cuts through all of that, what creates tension, mystery, and attraction, is the man who knows when to say nothing at all. But here's the difference. This isn't passive silence. It's not avoiding. It's not stonewalling. It's masculine silence, rooted, intentional, powerful. Think of it like this: when you stand in your own presence, when you let a moment breathe without rushing to explain or smooth it over you. Create a space that women feel. And here's why that's so magnetic. Because most people, not just women, are uncomfortable with silence. Silence reveals things. It creates a pause where truth starts to bubble up. And if you can remain calm in that pause, while others scramble to fill it, you become the one in control of the frame. I saw this once in the simplest way. I was at a little cafe. A man and a woman were on what looked like a second or third date. She was animated, talking fast, shifting topics. And he, not in a dismissive way, not rude, would simply take moments of quiet. He'd sip his coffee, watch her speak, and wait before responding. And you could see it shift the entire dynamic. She slowed down. She leaned in more. Her voice softened. She started watching him instead of trying to impress. That's the power of masculine silence. It signals you're grounded. You're not rushed. You're not there seeking approval. You're comfortable with your own presence. And most women, especially those used to men who chase, flatter, or perform, will feel that difference. It triggers curiosity. It draws them in, because now they're wondering, what is he thinking? Why isn't he trying to fill the space? Why is he so calm here? And the truth is, it's Stoic practice in action. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, it is not necessary to understand all things. Some you let be. You don't need to react to every mood, every word. Sometimes the most powerful move is stillness. But this is where timing matters. It's not about being silent just to seem mysterious. It's about knowing which moments call for presence, not performance. For example, when she's emotional, don't interrupt. Hold space. Stay steady. Let her move through it. When there's tension, don't nervously joke or explain. Let the moment land. Stand in it. When she tests your patience, and trust me, she will, sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. That kind of silence speaks volumes. It says, I'm here. I'm grounded. You can't shake this frame. And for a woman tuned into masculine energy that is magnetic, not because you're playing a game, but because that silence shows self-mastery, something rare, and something that commands respect. So remember these words: matter, yes, but your silence, when used with intention, can shape the entire dynamic. Now, if you're ready to embody that level of calm, if you want to lead with masculine presence instead of nervous chatter, I want you to write this in the comments. I speak when it matters. And stay with me, because next we'll explore another unseen weakness that even the strongest women can't help but respond to when you understand it. You're going to want to hear this one. Number 4. Deep eye contact that doesn't flinch. You want to know one of the quickest ways to reveal how centered a man really is. Look at his eyes. And here's the thing, women know this instinctively. They pick up on it faster than they'll ever admit. A man who can hold deep, steady eye contact without flinching, without darting away, without looking for a way out, communicates volumes. It's not about intimidation, it's about presence. Because when you lock eyes with someone, even for just a moment longer than what's comfortable, what you're really saying is, I'm here, I'm steady, you can't shake me. And most men can't do this. Why? Because they're seeking approval, or they're worried about how they're being perceived, or worse, they're carrying some inner insecurity that leaks out the moment true eye contact happens. And here's the truth, women read this instantly. You might say all the right things. You might look good on paper, but if your eyes dart or drop or soften too soon, that's the signal she responds to on a primal level. Now let's flip this. A man who can hold deep eye contact calmly without trying to do anything with it. No smirking, no over-intensity, no forced look, just steady, natural presence. That man immediately shifts the dynamic. Because now she feels seen. Not in a cheap way, not like some player running a tactic, but in a way that says, I'm grounded enough to meet you here without flinching, without chasing, without folding. That kind of eye contact creates instant gravity. And most women, especially those used to dealing with surface-level men, feel that difference fast. Now this ties directly back to Stoic teaching. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look beneath the surface, let not the several quality of a thing, nor its worth escape thee." When you hold your gaze, when you meet her eyes with depth, you're practicing that exact principle, seeing beyond appearance, anchoring yourself in clarity. And here's the deeper part. Deep eye contact also exposes truth. When you're willing to stay there fully present, you reveal that you have nothing to hide. You're comfortable with who you are. You're not rattled by attraction, by tension, by expectation. And in that space, her own deeper responses start to surface. She'll lean in, or soften, or she'll break the gaze first. And either way, you've just revealed more in a few seconds of true eye contact than most conversations will uncover in an hour. But here's the key, this isn't about staring contests. It's not about trying to win the moment. It's about letting your natural calm speak through your eyes so that she feels your steadiness, your depth, without you needing to force it. Because when a woman meets a man whose gaze doesn't flinch, whose presence fills the space without apology, something shifts. She knows, even if she can't articulate it, that she's in the presence of a man who won't be easily swayed. And in a world full of fast talkers and restless energy that is magnetic. So next time you're with a woman, whether it's someone new or someone you've known for a while, slow down. Meet her gaze. Stay there, not as a game, not to impress, but simply because you can. And watch what unfolds. Now, if you're ready to embody that level of grounded presence, if you're ready to meet the moment without flinching, I want you to write this in the comments, I meet the moment. And stay with me, because what's coming next is a shift even more powerful than eye contact, And when you master this, you'll never be seen the same way again. Stay sharp. Number 5. The need for mysterious depth. Have you ever wondered why some men, without saying much, seem to draw women toward them like gravity? It's not looks, it's not loudness, it's not some clever pickup line. It's depth, a sense of layered mystery beneath the surface. The subtle, unspoken feeling that there's more to this man than meets the eye. And here's the truth, that mysterious depth isn't about faking anything. It's not about acting distant or playing games. It's about actually living as a man of purpose, a man who is whole with or without anyone's attention. You see, many men, especially when they've just met a woman they find attractive, fall into this trap of overexposure. They talk too much. They try too hard to impress. They pour out every detail about themselves too quickly. And here's what happens: the curiosity fades. The pull weakens. Because for attraction to thrive, there needs to be space. Space for discovery. Space for the woman to lean in. If she feels she already knows everything about you, there's no mystery left to explore. And when there's nothing left to explore, interest dissolves fast. Now let me give you an example from my own experience. Years ago, I had a client named Daniel, successful guy, smart, well-read, traveled. But every time he met a woman he liked, he would flood the conversation trying to show how interesting he was. And every time, the women would fade. Interest would fizzle. When we broke it down, the pattern was clear. He wasn't giving them any space to wonder. No sense of depth, no intrigue. And what shifted everything for Daniel was this one insight: depth isn't performed, it's lived. When he started focusing more on being interesting through his life, his habits, his inner world, rather than trying to show how interesting he was, everything changed. He stopped oversharing. He allowed silence to breathe. He revealed himself gradually. And you could feel it. Women were drawn in, curious, leaning forward. Now, why does this work on such a deep level? Because it speaks to a primal part of attraction, the desire for discovery. Women, just like men, are wired to be intrigued by what they can't fully grasp. And here's where Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water." When you live with that kind of steadiness, with an inner world built on values, discipline, and curiosity for life itself, your very presence carries weight. You no longer need to perform. And when a woman meets a man who radiates this kind of calm depth, it touches something deeper than logic. She doesn't just want to know you, she wants to discover you. And that process of discovery is where real attraction lives. So here's the shift. Instead of trying to impress with more words, more facts, more stories, live in a way that naturally creates mystery. Develop yourself. Read, train, travel, reflect, practice your craft. Build a life that's so full, so rich, that you don't need to constantly explain yourself. And when you meet her, let her feel that depth, gradually, authentically. That's how you create the kind of pull that no surface-level game can match. Now, if you're ready to live with that kind of depth, if you're ready to become the man who draws curiosity without even trying, here's what I want you to do. Type this in the comments: "I build my depth," and listen, what's coming next might surprise you. Because there's one element of masculine energy that creates an even deeper bond than mystery alone, and most men never tap into it. Stick with me, you'll want this in your arsenal. Number 6. Her soft spot for a man with purpose, not just passion. There's something women instinctively feel, even if they can't always explain it. A certain pull they have toward men who carry themselves with a clear sense of purpose. Not just men who are busy, not just men who are passionate about something this week and something else next week. I'm talking about men who have a direction, a why. a reason that shapes how they move, how they make decisions, and how they show up in life. And here's what most men get wrong. They think passion alone is enough. They assume that if they're fired up about something, a hobby, a project, a new skill, it will make them more attractive. And sure, it can for a moment. But passion without purpose burns hot and fast, and then burns out. It's exciting for a little while, but soon the cracks show. The lack of deeper grounding, the restless energy, the search for constant stimulation. And women, especially emotionally intelligent, grounded women, pick up on that fast. Here's an example. A buddy of mine, Aaron, was full of passion. Surfing, photography, trading, crypto, fitness challenges. The guy was always doing something cool, always had stories to tell. And yes, women were intrigued at first. The energy was contagious. But after a few weeks or a couple of months, things would fizzle. Every time. Why? Because behind all that activity there was no deeper foundation, no clear direction, no bigger reason he was building his life. And without that grounding, women didn't feel secure investing in him long term. Now contrast that with another friend of mine, Mark. Less flashy, quieter, but steady. He knew what he was building, a business. He believed in a life philosophy shaped by Stoicism, a long-term vision of the man he wanted to become. And you could feel it in everything he did, how he spoke, how he carried himself, how he prioritized his time. He wasn't chasing attention. He wasn't jumping from one passion to another. He was anchored. And that created a pull. Women couldn't resist, a soft spot they didn't even fully understand. Because here's the truth: purpose signals strength. It signals leadership. It says, I know where I'm going. And for a woman, especially one seeking a strong masculine presence that creates safety, it allows her to relax into her feminine, to trust the man. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have already." A man of purpose lives from that mindset. He's not restless. He's not needy. He's building something bigger than the moment, and that energy radiates outward. When a woman meets a man like that, it touches her in a place that's deeper than surface attraction. It awakens something older, something wired into the feminine, a longing for masculine direction. Not control, but steady leadership. And when you embody that, you shift the entire dynamic. Now, this doesn't mean you need to have it all figured out today. Purpose is something you build. It's cultivated through action, reflection, and commitment to growth. And here's the beauty of it: even when you're still finding your way, if you're moving with intention, if you're shaping your life deliberately, women will feel that. It's not about perfection, it's about clarity and direction. And when that becomes the foundation of your life, passion no longer needs to be forced. It flows naturally from purpose. That's the energy that captivates. So I'll ask you this: what are you building? What are you moving toward? Beyond attention, beyond short-term validation. If you're stepping into that life or ready to type it in the comments, I live with purpose. And keep watching, because what's coming next is a quality most men overlook, but when you embody it, it magnifies everything we've talked about so far. Stay sharp. Number 7. Her hidden yearning to be led without being controlled. Now let's talk about something that many men misunderstand, and because of that they either push women away or fail to create the connection they're actually looking for. It's this: most women, even the most independent, strong-willed, successful women, carry a hidden yearning to be led. But here's the key: they do not want to be controlled. And the line between the two is subtle, but once you understand it, you'll move through your relationships with far more power and ease. Let's start with why this even exists. At the core, masculine energy is about direction, clarity, decision. Feminine energy is about flow, emotion, response. And even though modern culture tries to blur these lines deep down, these polarities still exist. They're ancient. They're hardwired. A woman's feminine core, no matter how outwardly strong or independent she is wired to feel safe and drawn toward a man who moves with certainty, one who takes initiative, one who knows where he's going, one who can calmly lead, while still allowing her space to be herself. Now, what most men get wrong is they confuse leadership with control. They try to dominate, dictate, micromanage, and that shuts her down. Control triggers rebellion. Leadership awakens trust. It's the difference between "you will do this" versus "I invite you to come with me." Women crave that second energy. Here's a simple real-world example. A client of mine, Caleb, once asked why every woman he dated seemed to resist any plans he made. "It's like they want to fight me on everything," he said. When we looked deeper, the issue was clear. Caleb would try to plan everything. He'd present it as, "We're doing this. Here's what's happening." No room for her input, no flexibility. What he thought was leadership felt like control. Once he shifted, framing plans as invitations, setting the tone but staying open to her energy, the dynamic transformed. Same man, same actions. But now women leaned in instead of pushing back. Because what they truly wanted was a man who moved with clarity but left space for their feminine energy to respond freely. This is a key teaching from Stoicism too. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. When you're grounded in that, when your leadership comes from inner strength, not external force, you naturally project an energy that invites rather than imposes. And women feel that. They can surrender into that kind of leadership because they trust it's not about control, it's about presence. And here's what makes this a weakness in the sense we're talking about today. Even women who would never say they want to be led crave it when it's done right. When it's done from a place of calm, grounded masculinity, not ego, not neediness, because it allows them to relax, to soften, to be in their natural feminine state without having to hold the masculine role themselves. And once you embody this, once you lead in this way, everything shifts, attraction deepens, tension builds, and the relationship feels more alive, more natural. So if you want to cultivate this, focus on your frame first. Lead yourself well, move with calm purpose. And when you invite her into that space without needing to control her response, she'll feel the difference. And more often than not, she'll follow. Now, if you're ready to lead from that kind of strength, to be the man whose leadership invites trust, not resistance, type this in the comments. I lead with strength, not force. And keep watching, because what's coming next is one of the most overlooked elements of masculine energy. And when you master this, you'll be operating on a level most men never reach. Stay tuned. Number 8. Her vulnerability to words that paint new worlds. Here's something most men overlook or misunderstand about women. Women respond to words on a level most men rarely think about. But it's not just what you say, it's the world your words create. Because here's the truth. A woman's mind and emotions are wired for story, for vision, for the unseen. That's why they're drawn to novels, to poetry, to deep conversations late at night. It's why they remember how you made them feel, not just what you said. And this is where most men miss an incredible opportunity to paint worlds with their words, not in a fake, manipulative way, not as some game tactic, but through grounded masculine presence that speaks from a place of truth and imagination. See, when you speak with intention, when your words hint at deeper possibilities, future experiences, rich inner life, you awaken something in her, a kind of vulnerability, because now She's not just hearing you, she's feeling, visualizing, stepping mentally into that world you're creating. And this is powerful. Why? Because women, especially feminine women, crave experience through emotion, through imagery. A man who can communicate in ways that open her imagination will reach her far deeper than one who just delivers facts or flat conversation. Let me give you an example. Two men take a woman out for coffee. One talks about work, schedules, traffic, basic surface talk. The other weaves into conversation small stories about a trip he once took that changed how he sees the world, about a dream he's building, about how he pictures life in 5 years with the kind of person who matches his energy. Guess which man she'll be thinking about later? It's no contest. Because one man offered dry facts, the other invited her into a world. And that's what women are vulnerable to, the words that paint something bigger, richer, more alive than the moment they're in. Now, how does this tie into Stoicism? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you speak from a grounded, intentional place, when your words are rich with meaning, not just noise, you naturally draw her toward you, because she's longing for that. In a world of shallow conversation, endless distraction, empty validation, the man who speaks with vision, with depth, stands out, and the pull is undeniable. But here's where men often go wrong. They think painting worlds with words means being flowery, overly poetic, or romantic in a cheesy way. Not at all. It simply means speaking from a place of depth, sharing what you see, what you value, what you're creating. And doing so with calm, masculine clarity, no neediness, no trying to impress. When that's your way of speaking, you naturally pull her into your frame, because now her mind is engaged, her emotions are engaged, and most importantly, she's leaning toward you. That's the subtle vulnerability we're talking about here. And once you master this, once you learn to paint those worlds naturally, you'll never go back to flat surface talk again. So if you're ready to cultivate this way of speaking, if you're ready to communicate with vision and presence, type it in the comments, I speak with vision. And stay tuned, because the next piece we're about to explore brings it all together. And when you embody this, your presence will shift in ways others can't ignore. You won't want to miss it. Number 9. The unspoken need for a man who can walk away. There's a dynamic most men completely overlook, and because of that they sabotage their own power in relationships without even realizing it. It's this: every woman, even if she won't admit, it has an unspoken need for a man who can walk away. Not because he doesn't care, not because he's cold or distant, but because his sense of self is so strong that he won't cling, he won't beg, he won't tolerate disrespect or settle for less than he deserves. And deep down, this quality creates attraction like nothing else. Let's break this down. At the core, women test men constantly, not always consciously, but instinctively. They want to know, is this man strong in himself, or will he crumble under pressure? One of the clearest ways this shows up is in how a man handles tension, uncertainty, or even the risk of losing her. The man who can walk away calmly without drama signals a rare kind of strength. He's not tied to outcome. He's not owned by fear of loss. And that paradoxically makes him far more attractive. Because here's the truth: no one male or female wants to feel they're someone else's only source of worth. When a man can walk away, when he has options, standards, a life of depth, he naturally radiates confidence. And here's the Stoic piece Marcus Aurelius reminds us: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. A man who lives by that, who doesn't compromise his values, even for desire, becomes unshakable. Now here's a story that illustrates this. I once knew a guy named Sam, solid man. But early in relationships he'd get too invested too fast. He'd tolerate disrespect. He'd chase when things cooled off, and women sensed it and slowly lost interest. When he finally grasped this, the power of being able to walk away, everything shifted. He stopped chasing. He held his frame. And when tested, he was willing to walk. Not to play a game, but because he valued himself more than any one outcome. And the result, women respected him more, leaned in more, because now they could trust his strength. That's the unspoken need. A woman wants a man whose love is real, but whose self-respect is stronger. A man who will choose her, but never need her to complete him. And here's the nuance. It's not about being distant or arrogant. It's about holding standards for yourself and for your relationships. It's about knowing that you bring value and that you'll walk away if that value isn't recognized. And when a woman feels that when she knows you can walk, it creates tension, respect, and deeper attraction. Because you've proven that your center isn't in her hands, it's in you. And that's the kind of man she can trust and desire. Now, if you're building this strength, if you're stepping into the kind of masculine presence that can walk when needed, type this in the comments. I value myself first. And listen closely, the final insight we're about to cover brings all of this together. And when you live it, you won't need tactics or games. Your presence alone will do the work. Stay with me. Bonus number 10. When your energy speaks louder than your words. Here's one of the most overlooked elements in all of this, something most men don't even realize they're transmitting, but women absolutely feel. It's your energy, not the words you speak, not the way you look, but the subtle vibe you carry, the way you move through a room, the way you sit across from her, the unspoken presence behind everything you do. And the truth is, that energy always speaks first. Before you open your mouth, before you send that text, before you plan that date, she's already feeling you. And here's where so many men miss the mark. They focus on what to say, the right words, the clever line, the perfect move. But if your energy is weak, if you're carrying neediness, insecurity, tension, she'll sense it instantly. No matter what words you use. Because women are wired to read beneath the surface. They're far more attuned than most men realize to subtle shifts in tone, body language, even breath. That's why two men can say the same words, and one creates attraction while the other falls flat. It's the energy behind the words that makes the difference. Now, how do you cultivate energy that speaks louder than your words? It starts here by mastering yourself first. Stoicism teaches this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. When you live from that, when your mind is clear, when you're not ruled by emotion or need, your entire presence shifts. You walk differently. You breathe differently. And that's what she feels more than anything you say. Let me give you an example. A while back, I watched two men interact with the same woman at a dinner party. The first guy, high energy, lots of talk, lots of jokes, but beneath it, you could feel the tension. He was trying to impress. His energy was pushing, not grounded. The second guy, quieter, fewer words, but his energy was still centered. You could tell he wasn't chasing approval. He was simply there in his own frame. Guess which man had her attention? No contest. Because even when he wasn't speaking, his energy filled the space. And here's why that matters. Women respond more to how they feel around you than to what you say to them. And the man whose energy is calm, clear, grounded, who radiates masculine steadiness, creates an atmosphere where she can relax, soften, open. That's the unspoken pull, the deeper weakness that no surface tactic can replace. And here's the part that most men will never understand. You don't act this way, you become this way. Through practice, through presence, through cultivating inner mastery so that you no longer need to force anything. You simply walk into a space and the energy speaks for you. That's Stoicism in action. A man in control of himself becomes magnetic to others, not because he's trying, but because that depth is rare and unmistakable when felt. So here's your challenge. Don't just focus on what you say, focus on who you are being. Because when your energy aligns with presence, purpose, and calm strength, words become almost secondary. Women will feel you before they hear you. Now, if you're ready to live that way, if you're ready to cultivate the kind of energy that speaks louder than words, type this in the comments. I lead with energy. And there you have it. 9 powerful dynamics plus 1 bonus, all designed to shift how you move, how you speak, how you show up, and how you're perceived by the women in your life. Because here's the truth. When you embody presence, purpose, calm, strength, and when your energy speaks before your words, you no longer need tactics. You become the man who simply is. And from there, everything else follows. If this is the kind of growth you're committed to, and you want to keep building it every single day, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. And if you want to go even deeper, if you're ready to surround yourself with other men on this path living Stoic principles in real life, join the Stoic members community. That's where the real transformation happens. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you right here again tomorrow. Stay sharp.